All right, so today I have with me Aura, and it's a blessing that we got together. So we were just talking about this before I did record, where we've been trying to align our schedules together. We got sick, we had, other stuff going on. Anyways, here we are, we're connected. I know, right? Isn't this great? And I wanted to share how we first connected. So we connected through BLN, which is Business Leaders Network, and it's an entrepreneurs group, and we just started with Facebook, just messaging back and forth. And so finally we got to this point where we are able to do a podcast episode, and Aura can come on and share her journey in life and, all the experiences she had. So Aura, why don't you just start off with, who you are and exactly what you're doing today, and then we could just go from there.
Absolutely. So, who am I? Like, that seems like such a broad question to start a conversation with, because there's so many different ways that we can define ourselves. And right now, my raise my hand label is business coach and founder of Business of Creativity. And what I'm doing right now is I'm serving and supporting other visual creative freelancers to master the business aspect, to be able to run their business with confidence, to be able to earn money, to live their dreams, to really support them on getting out and turning their passion into a business that will survive and thrive.
And let's start with how you got to that point, right? So,
okay, well, I think the whole story is how I got to that point, because, every single thing that we do in life to kind of get us to this point, it in some way to me being who I am, and who I am for others at this moment, for sure. So how did I get here? You got good questions, Jon. So thank you for that. The short version of how I got here was I got to a place in my career as a professional photographer where I started to notice that doing the work the way that I was doing the work was going to be hard on my body, and I was going to have a limited impact in the world. And I was at the place in sort of my mid-40s of thinking about, well, what is the legacy that I want to leave? And what is the impact that I want to leave? And how am I using my talents and my voice and my creativity and my intelligence to be in the world and to start looking at what was possible? And I noticed that there were other creative people around me who had incredible talents and ideas and innovation and skills, and that they weren't being successful in the marketplace. And what that means is we don't get the benefit of their creativity and their ideas. And it started to break my heart a little bit that we were being, that as a culture, as humanity, that we were not getting access to it. And I firmly believe that our planet needs creativity, ideas, and innovation in order to thrive. And so by supporting others to be successful, I get to contribute to the well-being of all of us.
So you're not behind the camera anymore?
I am not behind the camera. I'm not, well, I am here. I am in front of the camera.
Right.
And I think that that's a really good distinction to make, Jon. I retired my camera. I literally put it down in 2018 and have not picked it up. And a lot of people say, well, how can you go from, 2.5 decades of this being your main creative voice, your main tool of expression, to not actually photographing anymore? And what's been interesting for my whole journey is the idea of reinventing who I am in the world and how I am in the world continuously throughout the whole journey. So I am in front of the video camera, and that is a core element of kind of who I am, or at least who I've discovered to be at the front of a room, to be in a leadership position, to be the one who's doing the edutainment and the education to that. Like, from when I started my first job as a server, it wasn't just bringing food to a table. I was creating a dining experience So I think that there's a through line there, but it is not through photography that I am contributing my own creativity to the world anymore. It's definitely through how I craft training and education, through how I facilitate different group experiences, the creative way in which I'm able to listen into my clients and reflect back to them in a way that shifts how they feel or how they think or the actions that they take. So still creative, but in a very different package.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll say, yeah. How did you start photography? How, what inspired you to start that?
So along the theme of reinvention, I was an accountant. And I was doing accounting and working in offices, and it was in my early 20s, and I decided that I wanted to do something more creative with my life. Mostly I wanted to travel. So from being an accountant, I went traveling in the South Pacific and Southeast Asia for 18 months, backpacking in the late 1900s, which is, pre-email, pre-internet, pre-Facebook, I think there were sysops in the late 1990s, but there was definitely post-restante and no digital cameras. And that's when I went out with my backpack by myself and explored the world. I came back from that. So I had a little point-and-shoot camera, a little film point-and-shoot camera, and I came back from that and decided I want to be a photographer. I want to get paid to travel the world and take pictures. And so guess what my next job was? I got paid to travel the world and take pictures. Yeah. And I think that that's one of the interesting themes for me when I look at the context of our conversation and the idea of a check mark in my life was that it felt like I never really had those goalposts given to me. I had hippie parents, which was peace, love, and possibility. And you are an extraordinary being and can do and be anything. And so it really was almost untethered feeling growing up, where I didn't have any kind of constraint to be able to push against to see, is this for me? Is this the life I want? Do I want to follow in these footsteps? So consequently, the only thing I could really do to kind of explore my own sense of self was to rebel against that. And so I became the corporate kid. I had the briefcase and the matching trench coat, and I ate meat and wore leather and went to the big office buildings because I wanted to find out what it feels like. I wanted to push against something to create my own identity, and without constraint at all, without any kind of checklist, I felt really untethered. And this happened when I was traveling as well. I didn't have a ticket. I had an open ticket. And so I would find myself getting overwhelmed with opportunity and possibility. When everything is possible, when anything is possible, not just as a thought exercise, but as a here it is in front of you. What do you choose?
And there was nothing holding you back to try to go further in life, in a way.
In a way, in many ways. And in fact, that became the thing that held me back, which was anything is possible. I'm an extraordinary human. Well, now I have the burden of extraordinary, where it was like, well, if I'm going to do anything, I have to be amazing at it. And it has to be something really big and extraordinary and life-changing, because I am this brilliant being and I don't want to waste my life. And
yeah. Wow. So you kind of went with the flow in the beginning, sounded like with your family, kind of just let it be what it is. And then you hit a corporate job and you had no boundaries. Like it was limitless. Right. So, I mean, you were out there taking pictures of, I guess, nature. Is that what you were primarily taking pictures of?
Travel, essentially. So a lot of my photos were, landscape or nature, but a lot of them were people or street photography or things that could be used for storytelling or editorial or narrative or photojournalism. But that was my first love. But I did go to photography school in 2000 is when I went to photography school, after I'd already been paid to travel around the world.
Yeah. So you had a camera already and you get paid for it, and then you went to school.
So I had my camera. I went traveling. I came back. I had I'd taken 52 rolls of film, and I put together a small portfolio of about 20 images. And I was working. I decided that the intern step between being wildly creative and getting paid to travel the world and being a financial accountant was I was going to go into marketing and advertising. So I had a job in marketing and advertising, and one of the people that I knew there said, "Oh, you take really good pictures every time we go snowshoeing or go out on an adventure. My friend is starting this digital photography company." What kind of photography? Because we've got to remember, this was like the digital cameras looked like VCR tapes. They looked like these black boxes that you could anyways, the technology was very limited. And I ended up getting a job with one of the very first digital cameras with a company that wanted me to go do 360-degree virtual reality tour pictures of major travel destinations. So before I had even picked up a quote-unquote real camera, I was on an airplane with $10,000 worth of somebody else's equipment to go stand in the middle of Times Square and try to get a 360-degree photo with no people.
Wow.
Property releases or bottle releases. So it was a big challenge for me. And I think that one of the through lines in my life, aside from sort of the performative element of being at the front of a room, has been my love of the blend of math and science with creative and artistic expression. The blend of, here's a framework for how business can work and how profit works, but here's a way to do it completely creatively for you to design your life, to design your business, not by default, but with intention, to really look at what if everything was possible for you? What would you choose? Who are you? What are your values? What are the things that light you up? Where do you want to contribute and give into the world? And how can you create that in a way that people will recognize it and be able to say yes to your offers and be able to get the benefit of your unique genius? And that's a big thing to think about, especially by yourself. And so a lot of my journey was looking for who can I lean into to learn how to create or navigate my own world. And as a consequence, I give a lot of my time and life's energy into other people's dreams.
Yeah, and I believe a lot of people do. Yeah. That's an interesting, we could probably have an interesting discussion on that. I mean, there's a lot of people, even at the corporate level, right? You're feeding somebody else's dream and then somehow you dig into a little bit where you're hoping to build this company up and the president or the CEO is making more money and, all that good stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that if that's what people want to do. I mean, that's great. But if you start looking on the outside like yourself and go, how can I be better? How can I help other people? And then stuff.
Even the question, Jon, of what I found for me was that I was building somebody else's dream until their dream went kind of a little bit in a different direction of my dream. And then I was like, but I don't want to support that direction. Like, I think this would be a great dream to build over here in this direction. And what would happen would be I would have to either suck it up and squash my own dreams and make myself small enough to continue to feed and fuel them, which would result in resentment, and it wouldn't work. And then there would be conflict in that corporate environment. And, you know, it's not to say like, oh, I have to be the leader or you know, I'm not going to do it. But it started to become really clear that I did have a dream, but I didn't know how to articulate it. I didn't actually know how to speak it or how to create it, which is totally bizarre because look at me in my history. It's like, oh, create your own life and manifest this. And I'm like, but this big thing. And I think that it's just with any, so let me back up a little bit. Even with unlimited skills, resources, etc., there's still the element of imposter syndrome and self-doubt and fear and the element of being a reluctant entrepreneur, Jon. Like I knew that by really building my own business, that comes with responsibility. And that comes with I'm responsible for every single dollar that I earn. I'm responsible for any kind of financial safety. I'm responsible for the financial safety and for the future of my family. I have to think about how this is going to impact my ability to care for myself and care for others in my future. And when I made these decisions, I didn't have a plan B. I was all in. Like, this is what I'm doing. And the fear that would constantly come up about, can I do it this time? Is this too big of a dream? Is this, like, it's not just you make a decision and boom, like everything's roses and daffodils. I choose happiness every day. I choose to create my life every day. And when I don't choose, it goes spiraling into the self-doubt and the imposter syndrome because I'm not perfect. And I do, like, even coming on this show, I'm like, I don't know if I have enough of a story. Oh, I don't know if my journey is going to be interesting. Oh, like, I mean, I have to work through that and let it go as well and choose something different.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I'm going to go back just a little bit, just to add in a few things. When you went to where your corporate job, the dreams wasn't aligned with your dreams, you know, I could see that the values were not aligning as well. And, you know, also I know that when you start talking to other people in whatever job you have, a lot of people are going to lean one way and they're going to listen to somebody else, probably the boss, and say that this is right, this is right, this is right. Whereas you could be the one on the outside and say, no, we should probably go this way. And they don't do, you know, nobody wants to follow you because you're the black sheep, you know, and even if what you do could be a disaster, but it could be the right thing to do to start, right? And then you learn from that curve and you keep going in a different direction. So for you stepping outside of the box, going on your own path, even if it's not going to work out the way you think it's going to work out, you'll figure it out, you know, and that's well, you will. And that's kind of exactly where I want to get to where I'm at, right? I don't know everything either, but I'm going to damn sure figure it out, you know, whether it's connecting with other people through our network or somebody outside of that. I'll be honest with you, a lot of the guests I'm in connections with, and, you know, I'll connect them back and forth. Not that I talk to them all the time, but it's another way to grow. And I believe that's what you've done on your own, and it sounds like you're continuing to do it as well.
Well, yeah. And I think it's the on your own part. Like I said, it's really hard to do this work by yourself. So I certainly haven't done it all on my own. And the value of a network, Jon, is immeasurable. And the beautiful thing that has happened to me just sort of in the last 5 years is I've become way more open to trying on other people's way of doing things. There was a real fear-based action or fear-based sort of thinking for me, which is, well, I have to believe myself 100%. Otherwise, nobody else is going to believe me or follow me. So if I'm going to choose to take an action that's outside of the box, there's no room for self-doubt. Like, I have to just go for it. But what if I'm wrong? What if I am wrong? What if I'm right? But what if I am wrong? And so learning to be able to be open to other people's input and other people's ideas was a real growth step for me in leadership. But in terms of navigating my own world, I didn't do it by myself. I had coaches. I had leaders. I was relentless in my pursuit of personal development. I did tens of thousands of hours of seminars and reading and getting the tools together. And the most successful times that I have had in my life was when I am in relationship with others through networking, through coaching, through masterminds, through conversations. The most successful I have ever been is in community.
Yeah. And they take you so much further faster, right? Even if you're wrong, you know, you're going to say that I have this idea, great idea, you know, and you're going to talk to so they'll probably tell you, yeah, that's a great idea, but let's shift it just a little bit because they know it works in another way and they'll make it happen for what you wanted the outcome to be anyways. Yeah.
By yourself, it's a closed loop environment. There is no external feedback. And it's hard sometimes. Like, I get really resistant to other people's ideas. And it's been one of the things that has held me back from being able to grow a team is just that willingness to be open to other people's ideas and the willingness to have the process of iteration have time to unfold. Where in the past I would have said the process of failure and mistakes. It's like, how about iteration? How about the ongoing process of just creating newly from what was before? And a lot of times I find that changing my language around something changes how it impacts me and gives me access or ability to take action when I couldn't. Because if I believe that taking that action is stupid and it won't work, then guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to not take that action. So just my language around it, sometimes I can shift my belief and how I feel, which means I'll change the action I take, which means I can change my results simply by working on how I language it. So iterations.
Yeah, that's good. No, yeah. So I mean, like, definitely getting around coaches, mentors, whoever it is, right, is a game changer. So it's your surroundings, right? So you might have been in a closed loop. Might have been in a closed loop even just by yourself or a few friends outside of that. And those friends or whoever it was that you might have been sharing something with could have said, like, no, I wouldn't do that, you know, because they're closed-minded too, or they're part of that herd in a sense, right? You know, that they're doing everything that everybody else is doing. But you keep opening yourself up, you'll find other people that are in the same, like, hey, let's get out there, let's do this. And you know, as you do this as a process, you know, you make progress along the way. It's fun. I don't know about you. I have fun doing everything I'm doing, and it just brightens your day a little bit. And, you know, I feel like that's what I'm getting from you is like, you're enjoying doing what you're doing, even if it's a learning process. But you have joy. It's happiness, whatever words you want to use to make you feel alive.
I love that that's the experience that you're having, Jon, because like every time I can see somebody living into their full potential, it lights me up. And so I've done the work to identify like what kinds of things do bring me joy. And then how do I make sure that there's some of that happening? And one of the biggest things that brings me joy is being able to see somebody else move into their own possibility. And I can see possibilities for others that they can't see for themselves, which is another reason why you want to be in community, is that people can also see possibility, not necessarily, you know, hey, here's the benchmark or here's the goalpost you should be doing. I am not a should on people person. I don't should on anybody. I don't should on myself. It's not a fun place to be. And being offered, hey, do you see this possibility for who you could be in the world? and somebody going, wow, that's how you see me. That's incredible. And it can really create that other opportunity for you to live into it bigger, better. I feel like I lost my train of thought on that one, but I just really want you to know that there's a big power in having people see possibilities for you that you cannot see for yourself.
Yes. Yeah, there is. I think doing what you do to, have enjoyment, makes your life so much better. So, and I'm just sharing from my experience, it's just doing this and talking to you, I'm having fun, right? And, it's a good time in my eyes. I don't know about you, but
that's the fun part. This is the fun part. And that's not to say, Jon, that every single thing that I do is awesome. Like backing up my files or trying to get my email to work this day or figuring out my scheduling, or I'll have to tell you, I love doing other people's marketing copy and helping them with that. But doing my own, it's just like, so, there's still resistance to part of my life in some ways, but, and sort of the reluctance to have to do all the work myself. And that's a piece that I'm definitely working on. However, I've designed my life so that I do have these moments of joy, so that I am present to the moments of joy. One of the things that breaks my heart is that I see people create moving goal marks for themselves where they say, I'll be happy when I have more clients. And then they get another client and they're still not happy. And I said, but you said you would be happy when you had more clients. And you're like, yeah, but I still need more. But I still need more. And like words, like when you set goals for yourself of more, it's unattainable. It's this constantly moving goal line for you. And it robs you of the joy. And one of the things that I do every Wednesday, because Wednesday is look for the wins. Practice the mastery of reviewing your life, no matter where you're at. Even if you're not in a place where you're like, woo, everything's awesome. Maybe you're in the beginning of that journey. Maybe you're in I'm at the bottom of a hill. How can I celebrate anything? Practicing the mastery of looking for evidence of awesome. What could I choose to declare? Hey, you know what? This is a win. This is awesome. I'm going to celebrate. I got out of bed today. I had a shower. I'm awesome. Way to go, me. And you know what? I spoke up in that meeting. That's a win. And I think that the practice of looking for the joy, the practice of looking for the wins is so integral to our own well-being and to maintaining motivation and optimism and hope. And hope is the number one key ingredient for any change, transformation, or shift in your being.
Yeah, and that hope you get a lot from the people that you surround yourself with too. Because if they've gone through something already, they're there to push you and keep going because they know they can do it. You can do it, right? You just got to be willing to step up to the plate and do something totally different. We could talk about being uncomfortable, right? Everybody gets comfortable and they don't do anything. That they got all these great ideas, right? And I hear this weird thing where all the dreams. Where's the I don't remember the exact, but it's something with the grave. All the dreams are in the grave because nobody lived them, right? Some along those lines. And whatever it was, it makes sense. People die with their dreams because they're not willing to sacrifice to make a chance, right? And I'll agree with on my end too. I'm taking a chance on everything I'm doing. But if I don't do it today, I'll never do it. I'll be too old. Who knows what's going to happen tomorrow? I have no idea. So it's taking that chance, taking that risk, and just enjoying the process. So that's
and knowing too, Jon, that for you, the risk of taking a chainsaw to your whole life and rebuilding it works for you. For some person, the risk the big risk might be, you know what? I'm just going to get up 30 minutes earlier. Or I'm just going to, my big risk is going to be taking out a book on a passion project that I've never given myself permission to even think of as being possible. So I think that's a lot of times people in my community and in my clients, they stop themselves from even taking the smallest action, because if I can't do it all, I'm not going to do anything. If I can't change my whole life, then why bother even changing one thing about it? If I can't completely change my health, then why bother just limiting my sugar a little bit? If I keep it's like if I can't exercise for a whole hour, then why bother even getting up from the couch? And and I know that even a little bit can lead to a big change later on. And even a little bit can feel like a big change for a lot of people. And that fear of change can keep us stuck in even the most uncomfortable situations, because the fear, Shakespeare said it, the fear of something different, like that fear of the unknown, the fear of something different, from who is born, no traveler returns, puzzles the will and makes us rather bear those ills we have than to fly to others that we know not of. Thus conscience does lose the name of action and their currents turn awry. That was a butchering of it, but it was something around that.
That's good to me.
And it's that idea that constantly, like, even from the 17th, 18th, 19th centuries, people have been talking about, it is fear that causes us to lose the name of action.
You're absolutely right. And what's funny in a way, I'm not joking or anything, but I've noticed how you use the word risk as far as making a change, like a positive change. I've never heard that before. So that's interesting to me, because, I would consider it like you're changing your habits, so like in a positive way. You said wake up 30 minutes early as a risk, where other people would look at it as like 30 minutes early, in a positive way, because this is what's going to benefit me, right? So,
but I'm gonna risk being tired and cranky. I'm gonna risk disrupting my household because they get up later. I'm gonna risk not being able to stay up late enough for my kids' concert tomorrow night. Oh, I'm gonna risk becoming a morning person and my spouse is a night person, and so I could be risking my entire relationship by changing my habits in the morning.
Yeah. It makes sense. I just never heard it that way. So that's why I'm trying to trying to come back at you a little bit here and try to understand it. Like, I do understand. It's just a different verbiage, for how you're presenting. So, but it is cool.
And I think, Jon, that's one of the things that my work has really given me over the last 5 years is that, oh, wow, I didn't really get that either. And then having people being vulnerable enough to share with me the things that do stop them, that maybe don't feel like the same thing that stops everybody else. Like, there's this real sense in a lot of my clients that they look out at the world and there's this otherness. Other people can work from 9 to 5, but I can't. My peak time is like midnight to 2 a.m., they'll say to me. And how do I get myself to work to 9 to 5? And I say, you don't. Your peak time is midnight to 2 a.m. You do you. And what I love about the work that I do is that I am helping other people design a life and business that aligns with who they actually are. So they're not feeling uncomfortable trying to fit themselves into a corporate box, or this is the only way to run a successful business, or you have to be on Instagram or you're going to suck forever. It's like, no, these are all myths. We live in North America. We live in a very privileged world, in a very privileged time, where we do have the capacity to choose our lives in a way that many other people on this planet do not. We are not all in the lower state of, food, shelter, water. we have an opportunity to evolve into what feels good to us, what creates fulfillment. How can we step into our talents and our skills and our uniqueness in a way that helps other people because we are being truly who we are? And that looks so different for so many people. And it's been such a gift over the last 5 years to really start to embrace some of those, wow, I understand how that could feel like a risk to you. Okay, let's try a different way. Let's look at something else that might work better for you in your life and in your business. And that level of empathy has been just such a gift to start embracing.
Yeah, I agree with you. As far as we are at that time where a lot of people can make a change if they wanted to and change their lives completely, their lifestyle. Mm-hmm. I do believe that unfortunately a lot of people don't make that shift. They don't see it still. I think most likely due to society, in a way as a whole, media, whatever you want to call it, is still saying, you stay here, you stay in this box. You know what I mean? Like, I know with COVID and everything, everybody was starting to work at home, etc. And now they're all bringing it back to, brick and mortar and show up at work and all that stuff, because there's more control there, right? The person has to be there.
Like for some people, like, the idea of values, like your core values, like, for some people, security is a core value, and entrepreneurship or rocking the corporate boat goes completely against their core value. They just wouldn't do it. It's not gonna be fulfilling for them. And thank goodness, because we need some people rowing that boat so the rest of us can go off and create who we want to be in the world. So I think it's still fear, Jon. It's fear of the belief that corporate is going to give them a security that they can't have somewhere else, and that in fact is more important than their own personal fulfillment.
Yes, and I'll say there's no security whatsoever, because I lost my job after 20 years, and where was it? You know what I mean? It was gone.
And that's the piece where it's, so for those of you just listening on the audio, I'm getting all riled up to the point where I can hardly speak. But let me just reiterate or paraphrase what you just said. The idea being sold the myth of security in the corporate world, when in fact there isn't. And that is a consequence of today's economy and a lot of other things around society, where the belief that, okay, if you get the corporate job, you're set. You've got that until retirement. That is not the truth anymore. And that's not how our North American agreement is working anymore. In fact, if you look at Fortune 500 companies, it used to be they would stay on that list for 60 to 120 years. Now it's about 30 years that a Fortune 500 will stay on that list. So the companies aren't even lasting as long as a typical working lifetime anymore. So the belief that we had about get a good corporate job and I'll be set, that belief is not being based on reality anymore. The opposite of that is true, though, too. The belief that, oh, I'll just start my own business and then I can have all the control and I can have all the autonomy and I can make all the decisions and I can decide which way my business is going to go and I can decide what we do and don't do and how we contribute ethically or don't contribute. Sure, you do. You get all the responsibility, all the autonomy, and there's still no guarantee. I was a professional photographer in the crash of 2008. My business dropped by 80% of my income was lost within like 6 months. So there's no guarantee anywhere. So why not choose the path that gives you the best sense of fulfillment in your life?
I totally agree. I totally agree, because like I said, you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So might as well enjoy it today. That's great. This has been a great conversation. Who knew where it was going to go? But
no idea when we started.
No, and that's what I love, right? So we learned about you and your journey of life through photography and how you're helping others now, and you exited from being behind the camera, and then we got into the corporate world, the entrepreneurship, the surround yourself with like-minded people and networking and all that stuff, and to find purpose and a mission and go out there and do something. So, I mean, this has been awesome. But let's start with, Laura, how can somebody connect with you and find out how they can work with you or get to know more about what you do?
Well, the best way to get to know more about what I'm up to in the world is to go to my website at businessofcreativity.ca. It's a Canadian one. But the best way to connect with me is to reach out on LinkedIn at Aura McKay and just connect with me. And I love having conversations. There's opportunities on my website for you to be able to book a call with me. And I do have a podcast called Coaching for Creatives, where I do solo conversations and I offer my best tips on mindset and pricing and marketing for all visual creative freelancers. That's the best way to probably.
All right. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I have a question for you, like I ask everybody else.
All right.
What are 3 key things you've learned and used along your journey?
So the number one thing would be the 3 core beliefs for success. And I think that, so right now at this moment, my parents are not in good health. And even just thinking about someone in your life that might be in a struggle or in a place where it feels like you don't have any control over the outcome. These 3 core beliefs are still helpful to being able to be successful in managing hard times and in managing challenging times that feel like they're outside of your control. So the 3 core beliefs for me are, number 1, belief that success is possible. Belief that a positive outcome is possible. So if you're in that corporate job and you don't believe that it's possible for you to have fulfillment in that the number 1 belief is that you need to believe that whatever you desire is actually possible. Then you need to believe that, believe that it's possible, believe that it's possible for others, and then finally believe that it's possible for you. Believe that it's possible for others, believe that it's possible for you. Okay, other people can get better. Other people can get that job. Other people can have successful businesses. So it's possible, and it's possible for other people. And then the 3rd belief is it's possible for you. I believe it's possible for me to be successful. So those 3 core beliefs have been the piece around all of the education I do. Is I try to teach people that, hey, success is possible. Look, people are successful as photographers, graphic designers, videographers. It is possible to make a living, to thrive, to survive, to do even more than that. And it is possible for you. Then the final belief is it worth it? And this is where the risk comes in. Is it worth it? Is it worth it to get up half an hour earlier? Is it worth it to disrupt the apple cart? Is it worth it to take the risk? It's possible. It's possible for me. It's worth it. I will do the work. And I think that last belief is the one that you've been pointing to, is that so many people don't take the risk or don't change because, yeah, it's possible. And yeah, I could probably do it, but I don't want to take the risk. And those 3 things, I think, it's possible for you, and it's worth it.
That's awesome. Yeah. And exactly to my point, a lot of people don't take that risk where they would feel joy and happy and, you know, feel like they're doing something to their family, their friends, the world, whatever it is, you know, they just get stuck. And the dreams go to the grave, you know what I mean? Unfortunately. But no, that's good. I'll take that as your 3, I guess.
My 3, yeah.
Okay, awesome. Or I appreciate you coming on. I'm grateful that we got to finally connect and do this. And, you know, maybe we could do it sometime in the future too, or see where your journey goes from here to there.
100%. Love that. Yeah. It's great. It's been great watching your journey on this show as well. So thanks.
Thank you.
For asking the question.
Yeah, you're welcome.